This is Agents Influence Podcast.
When I talk about assessment, I'm not talking just about skills. I'm talking about things like emotional intelligence. Succession planning should be an integral part of your business plan. When you're putting your business plan together, either an annual or a 3-year plan, you need to be looking at, do I have the right people to execute that plan? So that's kind of the starting point. And from a succession planning standpoint, we look at key positions, not key people first.
I'm Jason Cass, and we're going to help you think differently, change your agency, change your finances, change your family, and in the end, we're going to change an industry. Let's go.
Hey, hello, loyal listeners. Welcome once again to Agents Influence Podcast, Conversations with Jason Cass. And as you know, that is me. Really welcome you back. I love doing Agents Influence Podcast because this is where we can get outside the agency. This is where we're talking with people who may not be working in the agency all the time. And we know that that's where we learn the best from, is people who are doing it every day. But oh my goodness, the perspective of somebody who doesn't do it every day, we know as good agency owners is just as vital. That's why we pay these consultants and spend all of this moolah that we make every day, because we make a lot of it. And it's the reason why we want other people to experience this great industry. And it's not because we make it because insurance agents get paid a lot. It's because we work hard and we create customer experiences that attract people to us. And then when they find out about us, then they go tell other people about us and they're like, dang, you got to go check out Cass down at the Insurance Alliance. And then all of a sudden, this thing just becomes easy. It's just a snowball rolling downhill. My job is make sure that the grass is clean so the snowball looks pretty. That's my job here. So thank you very much for coming to Agents Influence Podcast. And today we have Miss Beth Miller. Now, it's Beth A. Miller. And I want to tell you, loyal listeners, that her middle name, if you go check her out on LinkedIn, you're going to see, and it may even be in the title in this. I don't know how the team is going to name it. But when you look at her middle name, I was thinking to myself, now think about this, loyal listeners. You can only imagine me trying to say that name. I mean, I Beth, you don't know it, but I mess up the word Beth. I mean, I will mess up a name in a minute. And so when I see this one, it's really Arm Connect, right?
Correct. Arm connected to your shoulder. Yeah.
Arm connected to your shoulder. It's like that. I hear that song.
Right, exactly.
Wow, that's kind of funny. I just thought of that. Anyways, welcome, Beth Miller, to the podcast. Appreciate you coming on.
Well, I've been looking forward to our conversation, Jason.
Most people do, Beth. Most people do. No. All right. So, hey, Beth, before I get on, I do want to remind people of this. BrainShare is still happening October 25th. It is still happening. It is still a go. You have until September 1st if you sign up now to cancel, and you get all your money back. Okay, really, and it'd probably even be after September 1st. But my team tells me that that's what I have to say. So September 1st. So please go sign up. I am very excited to say that we have 11 new people that signed up this week. So registrations are starting to come in. I want to thank you, Andrew Mueller, David Watson, Nicholas Ayers, Preston Schmidley, Mike McBilly Sy. They all signed up because they're ready to go. So remember that. Please go to AIBrainShare.com, AIBrainShare.com, and sign up there. How can I go? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I have about 20 or 30 seats that have definitely opened up because there's some people that are just really paranoid about COVID, which is understandable. And there's some people who don't care less about it. And so I've got some seats for you who could care less about it, of the people who aren't coming because they did care about it. So there we go. But I will be there. My friends will be there. I'm coming in on Thursday, just for all you loyal listeners that want to know. I'm coming in on Thursday and I'm leaving on the following Thursday. So if you want to come in, you can hang out with me and my wife. It's going to be a fantastic time. Puerto Rico, at the Marriott in San Juan. Okay, Beth, here we are for you, because this is really all about you. But whenever everybody comes, because they know Beth's on the podcast, I'm like, well, hey, I got to throw this in about BrainShare, right? Because now everybody's listening. I just did my last guest. No one was listening to that podcast, so I didn't say it. But this one I did, Beth, because everybody knows you. So anyways, Beth, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for coming on, and I look forward to this conversation.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right. So, loyal listeners, you know how I do this. I just feel it, right? I've seen Beth out there before, and I just threw my calendar and I said, boom, jump on this calendar. Now's the time. I read a couple things that she had written, and not so much what she had written, but also I like to follow Beth, you, and other people that I catch an eye in. I start to follow what you say in other comments, because that is where we really get to know somebody, not necessarily in a post. In a post, they know everybody's going to read it. So see, what we do is we filter that. This is my own thought here, Beth. But when we put something in a comments, it's a really weird thing our brain does, where we all of a sudden just think that no one's going to see this. It's just us and the people that are in that comment. And then, because how many times have you been in the middle of a comment and conversation, and then somebody else will like it, and you're like, oh crap, man, I totally forgot that other people could be reading this. But you didn't think that when you were making the post. So there's a little psychological thing. So anyways, I started reading about you, and loyal listeners, I brought her on this morning back in the quote unquote green room. I said, what do you want to talk about specifically? And what she brought up was like, wow, we haven't ever talked about that. And if we have, not in great detail. So once again, the podcast gods have brought you a treat today, loyal listeners, that you're going to get straight from Beth Arm Connect Miller. Okay. So Beth, are you ready?
I am ready. Yes.
iPhone or Droid user?
iPhone.
You're an iPhone user. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm a Droid user. We won't talk about that. It's okay. Okay. What's the last app that you downloaded?
Oh, Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
What's that? Tell me about
that. So it is an app that reminds you on a daily basis to practice gratitude, and you then type in what you're grateful for.
Wow.
Yeah.
You do that every day?
I do. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you run out of things after a while? I mean,
No.
How long have you been doing it?
No, I've been doing it. I started it pre-COVID.
Wow.
And it's really helped me through these challenging times.
And so, and you can go back and read the things that
it's almost like a little diary about gratitude.
Right.
Yeah.
So gratitude. That is very, very cool. See, that's why we asked the question, because we want to find out what cool people are doing, because cool people do cool things with cool toys. And that's why we needed you. Do you hate to win or do you love to lose?
Oh,
no. Do you love to win or do you hate to? Yeah. Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I hate to lose.
You hate to lose?
Yeah.
Any reason why that just pops into your brain?
Because I want to win. And
you want to win.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I hate that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that. See, these questions give us an insight to Miss Miller, and that's the reason why we ask them. So Beth, last one and final one, but probably the most important. Let's just say there's two things in the world that are going to decided where you are today. We're going to say their skill. We're going to say their luck. Of those two, which would you say has been the biggest factor in your life?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one.
I know.
Wow. Dang. I think skill.
You want to say skill?
Yeah. I mean, I've had some luck, but I've had more skill. Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So, would you say that's because you came from humble beginnings, or where would you say your skill has come more than your luck? Just curious.
I think it comes from a couple things. One, my dad was a huge proponent of education. And
okay.
I was fortunate enough that, I got out of college without a loan, which was in today's world, that's like craziness, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the other is that I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm curious about things. So I'm continuously learning and building skills. Like, for instance, I'm getting ready next month to get another certification in emotional intelligence assessment.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I've been a studier of it for many years, and I finally have some time with this COVID that I've signed up to get certified in an emotional intelligence tool.
In the past, it was IQ. Today, it's EQ.
EQ, exactly. Yeah.
It's a presentation I haven't done in a long time, but I do a presentation on the power of women in insurance now and in the future.
Okay.
And when I talk about when I talk about it, Beth, I talk about it as caveman days. I'm brute strength.
Mm-hmm.
I hunt and gather.
Yeah.
You woman, you have kid, stay home, make, you take care of the whatever, the cave, the tent, whatever.
Right.
I don't know if I wasn't alive then, so I don't know. I'm guessing. And so then, and then, but that's not where we are in a society today, right?
No.
We've been that for so long, and it's literally, in my opinion, changed in the last 20, 30, 40 years to where it's not so much the brute strength. This is what I used to explain in this presentation. It's not the brute strength. It's the characteristics of where society is going, is caring, empathy,
yes. Right.
Multitasking, and so to put it into a nice frame for somebody in 5 seconds, it's IQ used to dominate. EQ now is what is really the true thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if I can care and be empathetic to people and use my skills in a productive manner for society, those win out every time.
Totally.
Over brute strength, right?
Totally agree. Yeah.
Boom, Beth.
Yeah.
Boom. Beth, I'm telling you what, you're pulling out some nuggets early. You've been mining up in them hills, girl. All right. Okay. So we got onto that. Then we got that. Okay. So take us back, diapers, high school, college, wherever you want to start, and bring us forward to where you are now to so that we can relate.
Okay. Well, I'll skip the diapers. I'll start with college. I grew up in the Northeast and went to Babson College, which is known for its entrepreneurial programs. And I actually majored in finance. What I found out quickly, though, is finance was not a passion of mine. It was something I was good at, but I really didn't enjoy doing it. And so I was fortunate enough to work for Digital Equipment Corporation at the time, which I'm dating myself. It's the remains of DEC is now Hewlett Packard, but they had an internal sales development program, and I was able to get into that program, and that's how I ended up in Atlanta, Georgia. Was that they trained me, but they said you're going to have to move, and I got to choose the region, and was fortunate enough to end up in Atlanta back in '86. So
that's where you are now.
Yes, yeah. So this is this is my home. I've been here longer than anywhere else. And
where were you born, real quick? Where were you born, though? That was the diapers part.
Boston, Mass.
Okay, all right. Let's go on. Sorry to interrupt. I want to know.
No, and kind of fast forward. I met my husband. He started an accounting temporary services firm. He convinced me to leave. At the time, I was working for Coopers and Lybrand, selling their technology consulting services. He convinced me to leave and start a consulting practice with him.
Okay.
And we ended up selling the accounting firm. We made Inc. 500 with the technology firm.
Sweet.
And sold in '02. Took some time off. We don't have kids. We have 2 cats. And
big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Not as big a deal as the dogs, though. So
it's true. It's true. Right about that.
So we did some traveling, and I did a lot of volunteer work here in Atlanta. Did a lot of work for the Junior League and Junior Achievement.
Ooh, junior achievement. That's something that's lost today in our towns, and we need that.
We have an amazing chapter here in Atlanta.
Good for you guys.
Some bleeding edge programs.
Wow.
Yeah. I could go on and on about that.
I love junior achievement. Yeah, unbelievable stuff.
Very proud of what they're doing. And but it wasn't enough. And so I ended up finding Vistage, which is a CEO membership organization. And it's for small, mid-sized companies, privately held companies. And I had the opportunity to work with a number of insurance business owners during that time. Still, I stepped down from Vistage back last year, but I'm still very connected to them. And I worked with some wholesalers as well as some independent agents that were growing rapidly. And a number of other
Right.
industries as well,
So one of the things that I like about this and what brought us back, loyal listeners, that I want to bring this back to, Beth, is that when we talked about what I said, what is your specialty? What would you like to talk about where you think that you have impact? And something you said and mentioned had to do with succession planning, right?
Yes.
And the succession planning.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, and let's follow up with that conversation, because loyal listeners, what I said to her is that that's something we don't really talk about a lot here. And sometimes we do. I told her that I think about that now as an agency owner, halfway up the hill, coming down the other hill, whatever my retirement is. I'm thinking to myself, am I writing the right type of business that's going to be attractive to somebody else? Am I putting in the right type of technology that's going to be attractive to somebody else? Am I gaining the right carriers that somebody else is going to say, hey, I would like to have those carriers? But one thing none of us agents think about is, do I have the staff? Do I have the emotional intelligence, right? The old saying of, do I have the right people in the right seat, going the right way? I get that. But it's deeper than that right now. It's deeper than that. And you want to talk about that. So where should we start in understanding succession planning from anywhere? I don't want to just pigeonhole it, but let's talk about the people and why that's important to an agency or any business.
Yeah. So, succession planning should be an integral part of your business plan. Mm-hmm. So when you're putting your business plan together, either an annual or a 3-year plan, you need to be looking at, do I have the right people to execute that plan? So that's kind of the starting point. And we look at, and from a succession planning standpoint, we look at key positions, not key people first. So there might be key positions. You might have with an insurance company, there may be a sales manager. There might be a customer service manager. Those could be considered key positions. Okay. There might also, then there are key employees, the actual person. And those that person might hold the keys to maybe your technology, for instance. Well, if that person gets hit by a bus, who has the keys, the passwords, all of that information that will continue your company moving forward. Okay, so it's first understanding those key positions that you're going to need or have already, and then it's looking at the employees that are in those positions and assessing them. This can get, when I talk about assessment, I'm not talking just about skills, but I'm talking about things like emotional intelligence. Those core competencies that an organization has determined are required by employees. Are you familiar with core competencies?
No. So please, educate me.
Yeah. So core competencies are driven by your company values. So if you have for instance, I work with one company where accountability is one core value. They then have, with that value, defined behaviors that support that value. All right.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Then those behaviors are then considered core competencies.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
And then as you cascade down, you can then take those core competencies, not just using it to assess your key employees, but you can also use them in your hiring process. You can create behavioral interview questions around those core competencies so that you make sure that you're getting the right people on the bus.
I don't know about you, but very rarely do I do business with someone if they don't have good reviews, because very rarely do I buy products that I can't really read the reviews. You know what I'm talking about. It doesn't determine everything, but it determines a lot of the way that you feel about that product or service. And believe me, as an insurance agency, you need to be getting Google reviews. You're literally telling Google who you are and what you do. An amazing statistic, 83% of happy customers are willing to leave a review, but only 23% actually do. Why? Because you're not asking. Why are you not asking? Because there's no real platform to organize all of these messages coming in from everywhere to be able to satisfy the request of messaging somebody for a Google review. Not until Podium. Check out podium.com/AI podcast. I use it in my agency. And if you go to podium.com/AI podcast and you check it out, you can get 10% off your subscription for life. Check it out. AI podcast. Podium.com/AI podcast. So it's taking a core value and going deeper.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And that makes sense, right? Because we say one of our core values is that we are, can I say trustworthy?
Yeah.
Right? We're trustworthy, right? Mm-hmm. But like, what does that mean to me versus somebody else?
Exactly.
Right? It means two different things. So so somebody says, yes, that's a big core belief in me too, is to be trustworthy. So I may say as an owner, well, heck, this is the person. They line up our core beliefs. But no, that's a different type of trustworthy. Here's something I want to throw at you here. Mm-hmm. They say that the employee who has been around, let's talk about millennials real quick. They say the employee who's been around for a while, 20, 30 years, retires at the corporation and they get the gold watch and they were satisfied because they were loyal, right? The company, they were loyal to the company. And that's just that generation, your generation, right? Yeah. Even our generation, Generation X. But here's the deal is that to millennials, they'll work at a job for 11 months and leave, and they declared themselves loyal, right? So if loyalty is, these studies have been proven, if loyalty is a big core value of yours, if you don't distinguish though that, hey, we declared 30 years to be loyal versus 11 months, those two people are going to see that completely different. And I think this is the reason why we need these core competencies. Yes. Really, really good. I really haven't heard a lot of people breaking it down past the core values. So that's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
So then once you understand, your core competencies within your organization, then you can assess your employees, your current employees, against those, and identify any gaps. Because there are things, for instance, accountability. Well, it's behaviors that you're looking for as it relates to accountability. Well, those things, if there are gaps, you can either teach techniques or coach that individual and develop them and fill that gap.
Or fire them. Just fire their ass. No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. My loyal listeners like that. I'm totally joking. I would never fire them. I would fire them quickly, just not slowly. No, I'm joking. But yes. Totally. The obvious thing is I think one of the greatest things we can do is to help other people. Why don't people invest in being that coach of people a lot? That you don't see that as much as you should. What do you think about that, Beth?
Well, I think part of it is first they don't have the skill set. I mean, I teach a lot of managers on how to coaching because there's coaching and there's mentoring, and oftentimes people get them confused. Mentoring is about sharing your experiences and your knowledge. Being kind of the advocate of that employee to help them connect with other individuals that might be helpful to them in their career. A coach, though, is really all about asking questions and getting the individual to self-reflect. It's about challenging an individual's self-limiting beliefs. It's giving them insight that they then go and use themselves.
Beth, that's beautiful. I'm serious. That's great. I don't think anybody has ever decided to split those two in my brain or in a conversation I've been in. That was beautiful to understand that mentoring is about sharing your knowledge and being an advocate for them.
Mhm.
And then you say their coaching is about asking questions, getting the person to self-reflect and challenging their beliefs upon some of those things.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. As you were saying that, I was thinking about myself to my son. Right.
Yes.
I'm even thinking to myself about how when I'm trying to coach my son, I may be mentoring him.
Yep.
And I shouldn't do that. I should be, he's needing a coach at that point in time, not a mentor. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. That is great. That is great.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have to teach. So that's your answer to, that's the reason why sometimes people just don't develop other people.
Right.
They don't have the skills.
They don't know the process. They don't understand the process. The one situation that I run across a lot where especially new managers will do, but those that have been managing for a while do the same thing. And that is they've got an employee that comes in and will ask them a question that's related to a problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what the manager immediately does is solves the problem for the employee. It's just a natural thing.
Makes
somebody
sense.
somebody comes to you with a problem. I've got a solution. I'm going to give you the solution.
Yep.
What you're doing is you're enabling that person to keep coming to you with problems. This is the first thing you should do is to ask them questions of, okay, what have you tried so far? Or if it's somebody that you feel has the right answer, ask them the question, well, what do you think? And many times they've got the answer. It's just they want to be reaffirmed that that's the correct way to go.
Good stuff. I mean, if you're an agency owner, you've dealt with dealing with people, you can feel and understand what you're saying because that happens so much. One of these agency owners I was talking to recently, that when his team asks him a question about something that has to do with an insurance company or a process or something, he will ask them to go ask that question inside of Teams or Slack, whatever digital ecosystem they're using. And his reason being is that, number one, it's amazing how somebody else in the team already knows that answer, so they don't necessarily come to me. And number two, it allows it to be searchable at a later time rather than someone asking anybody. They can just search it, right? That's kind of going to what you're saying here, rather than just providing the answer. Hey, let's talk to the team to see if it's out there.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I like that. By the way, his name is Wesley Anderson. He's really awesome. You should get to know him. Beth, everybody in the world should get to know him. He's out of Utah. He's fantastic. So, okay. So Beth, what more should we be looking at? I like this. You said it's not so much the roles, right? It's not so much the positions. You said it was the positions at the top, like the managers, but then we have to talk to key employees.
Right.
And those are the ones that we're trying to assess by getting to their core competencies.
Right.
What else is important here?
And then you can use a number of other assessments as well to identify gaps, such as a 360 assessment. Familiar with 360s?
I am not. Please tell me.
So 360s, they're custom built around core competencies, and they are then sent to a person's direct reports, peers, maybe some clients, and they get a 360-degree assessment where you can then determine some gaps that you then create a development plan to fill those gaps. So development planning is a core component to succession planning. You want to be developing these individuals so that they are ready to take the reins in the right period of time. So I look at succession planning as having the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right things.
At the right time, doing the right things.
Yeah.
See, Beth, the reason why I like you is you're a person who takes common knowledge and breaks it down and expands upon it so that silly third grade people minded like me can figure this out. And I'm serious about that. That's a very good, that's a very good talent.
EQ is better than IQ.
I'm telling you, girl, come on now. If you ain't telling me nothing, I don't know. Hey, now let me ask you this. I think I have the answer. I want to hear your answer. Why don't if this is, there's so many loyal listeners listening to this right now, Beth, and they're going, oh, that makes sense. And wow, to have this 360 thing and coaching and mentoring. And why don't we take that action as agency owners to put these SSs in place, to ask these questions? I mean, one again, because they don't know. I mean, you're telling them they've been told about these tests that are out there for their employees and how they should interview. What do you say? What do you think?
I think
Be real here. That people listen. People listen to this podcast because they want real stuff. So tell us what you think.
Well, my experience is that there's no one person that's really focusing on this. Many agencies don't even have an HR manager.
True.
Right. They'll use ADP or some other payrolling service that will provide them with their HR. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not talent management. Talent management is being strategic about your talent. So there's nobody there really focused on that. And, I've worked with enough insurance companies. They get busy. It's all about, getting the next sale and then servicing the clients that you have.
Yeah.
And, they'll spend time doing the business plan, but the succession planning, there's nobody to take ownership of it and drive the process, because it needs to be done annually, because you need to go and you need to be checking on the development of the individuals. I mean, that needs to be like a quarterly event.
Mm-hmm.
And the annual event is that succession plan. So there's nobody there that's focused on it.
Something that a lot of other industries focus on is what they call, and this is so crazy, you said it, talent management.
Yes. Yeah.
Even in State Farm, in Allstate, inside the insurance industry, a lot of people have talent management systems. Like we have agency management systems or client relationship management systems, but there's talent management systems.
Yes.
I need to put you in contact, Beth, with a guy by the name of Tom Baker. He has a talent management system built for the independent insurance industry, and it tracks KPIs and job descriptions and duties. And what he does is he works with other consultants like yourself and provides them the software that they then provide their clients. And Tom is very much like you, very brilliant in understanding how people work and understanding the simple things that we can do to get them to execute the things that we think are hard for them to do.
Right.
So going back to what he said, though, I think it goes to do with so much. Okay, first of all, I think people just don't flat out care. I just really think they do. They're running their agency. They make their $200,000 a year. They work 20 hours a week. They play golf 6 times a week. I mean, they just don't care, right? Then you have these other people that I think are trying to work on it. They're trying to collect their information. They're listening to Beth. They're listening to all these other studs that I bring on here. And they're thinking to themselves like, okay, I'm going to take action. I think also some people it's ego driven. I believe that whenever I'm ready to sell, I'll sell, and I'm going to sell for a lot of money. And this stuff of EQ is crazy, right? This is ridiculous. I will say this. I don't think you see that so much. I think the younger crowd in America today understands EQ is way more powerful than IQ.
Yes.
And we really do. I was getting ready to go off on a rant on something, but I'm not going to go there. So anything, I mean, kind of wrapping this up and trying to start to focus down on, is there anything that you would want to tell outside of EQ and some of the stuff we talked, or expand on some of the things that you've said, that help us in that succession plan of things we don't think about?
Yeah, I think, for those business owners that, as you say, have that ego, one of the things that I find I have to work with business owners on is getting to them to think about what their life will be like after they sell.
That's good.
So that is something that holds a lot of business owners back from doing succession planning, because it's like, well, what am I going to do? Because my whole identity is wrapped up in
that's so good, Beth.
the agency.
That's so good.
So that's a lot of my coaching work with business owners is figuring out, okay, how do you prepare yourself first before you prepare the organization?
Because it's just how it is, right? It's how our brain is. If we see it, that's our image. We'll go to it, right?
Yeah.
And it's very scary if we don't have that image.
Yeah.
And it's very, very scary, you know? And I was just talking with a woman, and she's a personal friend of mine, and she was telling me about how her and her husband were having issues, and they thought that they were going to split up and stuff like that. And they went to this counseling, and they've gotten everything back together, which was really, really great. And I was asking her, because I like to ask these questions and learn. I said, what was the thing? Because I talked to you a year ago and you were adamant, you know? And she said, one of my old boyfriends had called me from a long time ago, nothing interfered or anything, but just talking to them once or twice, my brain instantly went to, like we do, grass is always greener on the other side, right? And it's the same mental makeup as what you're talking about right now. When our brain feels comfortable seeing something else, then it's okay to leave where it is. But man, if we don't see something, we're not leaving. You know what I mean? We are stuck in the mud.
Exactly.
So that's, I think we were talking at the point in time, I read a lot of nonprofits. I think that's why a lot of these nonprofit social services work, when they give women or men, whoever, another outlet to speak to somebody, to see the grass is greener without jumping into another bad situation. That's what we were talking about. So it's very, very correlates, very similar to what we're talking about here. So if I was an agency owner and I'm like, hey, I need to start taking some time, I need to start looking into this. Yes, call Beth. Yes, call somebody else. But what would be the first thing I would start doing when I'm like, okay, I'm going to start getting this succession plan? Because we all think about the things I said earlier. Where would you start?
I would start with a succession plan readiness assessment, which I have online. On my website.
Where's that at?
It's www.executive-velocity.com. And there is a resource page that has a lot of downloads. And one of them will step you and your team through a questionnaire. It gives you a sense of, is your organization ready for a succession plan? Do you have the right infrastructure? Do you have development plans in place? Do you have, if you're a large organization, career paths in place? Do you know what your core competencies are? Those are all the things that you need before you go down a succession planning process. So that would be the first thing I would recommend.
I like that. You know, something that just popped into my mind, I've thought about before, of how we went from the agricultural age, right, to then to like more of the industrial manufacturing age. And then we kind of left that. A lot of our manufacturers left. And in the course of each one of those changes, there was always people that were caught, meaning they had been working in the farm for 30 years and now they had to go to the factory, and it was like, I don't want to do that. Or I'd been working in the factory and now I needed to go into the service industry. And it was like, I've been building car parts for 30 years. And it's like, hey, retrain them. And that worked a little bit. One of the things that I've really realized about the conversation with you, Beth, is in the transition we're going right now from work to working at home to understanding how data can analyze our businesses now, working with EQ rather than IQ. I think what can kind of happen here is we can kind of, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Because I was thinking too fast. Anyway. Oh my gosh. I just realized something about, the people, I'm sorry about that, loyal listeners, they're used to it, but the people that are caught in between. And I'm starting to realize that we can prevent those people from being caught in between in a lot of the changes that are happening right now when we understand mentoring and coaching.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's what we lacked maybe in the past that caught those people. It wasn't understanding how to, for instance, we have a 25 or 30, a woman or man who's been working in our agency, not in ours. I'm giving you an example.
Right.
This is a very common thing. And they've been working in our agency, and now we're trying to change our culture. We have new leadership coming in. They're trying, and now we're assessing, at the back, the way we always do. And we're looking and we're realizing that person who's been here for 25 to 30 years is really caught in their ways of what they're doing. Right. Yeah. And so we kind of think that after a while, you're just kind of like, well, I just think we're going to probably have to get rid of them because we're trying to change. And I really challenge people out there to say, are we mentoring or coaching them?
Mm-hmm.
Have we given that a shot? You know what I mean? Have we said to them, have we asked the questions, you know, like, do you like your job? Do you feel still good at it? Is there something else somebody else in the office is doing that maybe you're like, you know what, after the last couple of years, I really like what they're doing. What are those things that we can do? How can we expand on them rather than just kicking them to the curve because they can't fit into the culture anymore?
I totally agree. As long as that individual is not toxic, that, you know, I've seen situations where there's been this drastic change in the organization, and there are some people that become viruses, unfortunately, and those are people that you're not going to be able to change. But to your point, majority of them, if you give them some coaching, that they'll come around.
Yeah. Oh boy, we got some toxic people out there. And I'll tell you what, it's easy to find them nowadays. You just got to look at their Facebook feed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yep, you're toxic.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway,
exactly.
Anyways, yeah. So sorry, went off there. But hey, Beth, I really do appreciate you coming on. This was very enjoyable. I really, really talked about a lot of things. I have a lot of notes for the listeners. And if they want to find out more about you, tell them where to go, brag a little bit, because you got a lot of knowledge. People need to know who you are, girl. Tell them.
So you can go to my LinkedIn, which is Beth Armknecht Miller, and I'm the only one out there with that name. You can also contact me through my website, executive-velocity.com.
Yes. This was a joy. I was really kind of worried about it. I thought it'd be boring as can be, but it actually turned out pretty good. I'm joking, Beth. I'm joking. I can't bore my listeners. I'm not bringing anybody on here that's not top notch in quality, and you lived right up to it. So I greatly, greatly appreciate it, Beth. And I think there will be some people that probably will reach out to you because, once again, this is something we don't normally think about. You need to check out Kelly Donahue-Pirro. She's somebody I think that you and her would really jive. Tom Baker out there, I think you guys would really jive. I know a lot of people out there, and the way that you're thinking is the way that a lot of the successful, I hate using the word, but consultants are thinking today. It doesn't take long to understand that EQ is important when you talk to people who understand what's going on in an office.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't understand, if you're not a big believer in culture in the year 2020 in an office to be successful, you may not have been in an office for a long time.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So those are some of the things. So thank you once again, Beth.
Thank you, Jason. It was great.
Once again, Agents Influence is all about trying to make you think about things, challenge the norms out there. And that's what we try to do here at the AI podcast. But what Agents Influence is all about is taking conversations that are outside the agency and bringing them into your ear. And as I've told you from the beginning, since 2013, as a leader in the insurance industry and in the podcasting world, tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Jason Cass, and she's Beth, and this has been Agents Influence Podcast. Thank you.
Whenever you call over to Agency VA, ask for Ben or ask for Wes because they're the owners. I personally know those guys. A lot of you personally know them out there. And from what you know of them, they're exactly what they say they are. They care about the industry. They're invested in our industry. And they want you to be efficient. There's work that your CSRs are doing that they shouldn't be doing. There's work that your account managers are doing that they shouldn't be doing. There's work that your producers are doing they shouldn't be doing. You need to reach out to Agency VA because they should be doing it. Check them out at agencyva.com.